Here we go, Venerable Bede, Book 1.5. From the year of the incarnation of the Lord, 189, put a comma there, Severus, name of a fellow, an African of Triapolopnus, Genere, of the race from Africa, in the little town of Leptius. He was born at this place in Africa. He was the 17th who adopted Imperium, who took Imperium, who was emperor from the time of Augustus. He was the 17th, and for 10 and 7 years he held the role of emperor. Hic naturis savus. He had a very savage nature, and always he was laquesitus. That's a passive thing from laquesso. He'd been provoked or challenged or attacked in multis bellus, in many wars. Indeed, he was very brave how he ruled the Republic, but it was very laborious for him. Then, the victor then of the civil wars, which occurred to him, which happened to him, or he was involved in, very gravissimus. So, it was very savage types of wars. Into Britain, he was passive. He was dragged into Britain by the defection of, again, Paini, of almost all of his sociums, of all of his allies. Ubi, where, in some translation that's just a comma in the same sentence, where having guested it, blade of absolutes, many serious battles often, the received part of the island, the part that he had control of, from the rest of the indomitable races, not with a wall, as certain people estimate or think, but he thought that he would build it with a valo, which is a ditch or something like that, or ramparts, and go up or down, to distinguish his part from the rest. For in fact, a murus is from lapidus, from stone, but a valum, a rampart, is from which the force of the enemy is repelled, and it fortifies the camp. So what's the difference between a wall of stone and a rampart? This is made fit de caspites. I think normally in classical Latin that has an A in it. It's made from tufts of grass in which are circumcised from the ground. They're cut up from the ground. As if it's a wall, extruded, is built. Did I just eat one of those letters? Oh, velvet. As if a wall is built altus, high above the ground, ita ut, this much is in front of the camp, and it's a fossa. It's a ditch in front of the camp, from which de qua caspites, these tufts of grass with the sod in them, are levitated, lifted up, or dug out. So they're dug, then they're lifted out of these ditches, above which sudes, sharpened stakes usually from wood fortissimus, very strong wood, are prefixed. That helps repel people as well. And so Severus, a great ditch, a magnum fossa, and a very strong vallum, I'm guessing he built it, with above, with Crebris turribuses, with frequent towers above it, commutationem, they are fortifying it. Okay, so this is what he ducks it. He led a great ditch and a strong rampart from sea to sea. And there, apud Yorktown, Eboracum is York in England, he obited, he died from a morbus, from a sickness, or morbum, whatever it is. So taken by a morbus, he left duos filios, he left 2 sons, this guy Basinus and Geta, of whom Geta died adjudged a publicus. It looks like something of a child. I think it's a public enemy. He was judged public enemy, so done some sort of treason or whatever. They got rid of him and killed him. Bassanus, the other guy, having assumed the cognomen of Antonius, that's one of their names Romans have, he obtained the ablative, the kingdom, the regnum. 1:6 of Bede. And our incarnation of the Lord, 286, Diocletian, the 33rd emperor from Augustus, he was elected by the exercitu, by the army, for 20 years. And he created Maximianum by cognomen of Herculeum, Socium of the emperor, so it's like a co-regent or something, maybe. Of whom, plural, in this time, there was a certain Coravisius. He's indeed from an infirmus genere, a low life by birth or something, but in plan and hand, he was promptus. He was very prompt, ready at hand. When to observe the shores of the ocean, which then, or in that time, the Franks and Saxons infested, the shores of the ocean, or maybe the ocean itself, he was posited, he was placed. So Coravisius was placed there to do this job. More into destruction than into any helpfulness, he conducted himself for the Republic. The reptam praedam, the booty snatched by praedones, which are usually pirates, no part did he restore to their masters from where it was stolen, but for himself alone he vindicated or took them. Okay, so here's a daily dictionary from the first section. Lachesso, it was Lachecidus, when he was attacked, provoked, or challenged in many wars, even harassed. Back to the plot. Accending, it's a suspicion's the accusative, so he was lighting suspicion, quia, because, or medieval quia is like a quad, lighting suspicion that also the enemies themselves, who were artifics, they were very skilled, by his negligence he permitted them to infinitive, they've used a gerund here, to incurse the boundary. So it looks like he's permitted by his negligence skilled enemies to come into the boundaries. Quem obrem. Because of this, he was usurted, he was ordered by Maximianus to be passively killed, to be occupied. But looks like he sumpsited the purple, he took up the purple, that's the garment they wear to show they have authority, and he occupied the Britons, Britain provinces or areas. So these plurals of the Britons, in which for himself, most bravely, for his 7 years, he had taken and retained. Alas, by the fraud of his Socius Electius, he was interfected, he was killed. Okay, so a lot of people stabbing each other, looks like. Anyway, afterwards, postea, this Electus fellow, the island parts which were erupted, stolen from Coravisius, he tenwitted, he held it through triennium, through a 3-year period. So it looks like Electus is now a quem. So Alcipidotus, the prefect to the Praetorians, oppressed quem, Electus, probably killed him maybe, and recovered or received Britain after this 10-year period which was mentioned. Meanwhile, Diocletian in the Orient, Maximianus Hercules in the west, Vestarid the churches, devastated, ravaged the churches, and afflicted and interfected, afflicted and killed Christians. This guy probably looks like he gave the instructions. These two guys actually, because it's a unt. They gave the instructions for this to be done in the 10th year or 10th place after Nero. Probably something to do with the empires, different emperors they've had. Went from the foundation at the beginning of Rome. Now they're talking in successions. Which persecution was longer and more monstrous than almost or which had been acted before. For through 10 years, with the burnings of churches, ecclesiarums, with the prescriptions of the innocent, with the slaughters of martyrs, this acta inaccessible. Looks like an adverb that means went on and on and on, incessibly. Deniqui. Finally, in short, even Britain in the accusative, then, tum, many glories of confessions of devotion to God sublimated, lifted up Britain, or Britain was raised up by all these great glories of confession. That's it.